Okay, to find direct variation, let's use this example. So it says the variables x and y vary directly. Use the values to write an equation that relates x and y. So they give you a value for y, which is 32, and they give you a value of x, which is 16. So what you do is the first thing you have to do is write down the direct variation equation, or the formula, and that is y equals k times x. So they give you a value of y and they give you a value of x. So all you do is you substitute that into the original formula for a direct variation. So instead of writing y, we're going to write 32. And k they didn't give us, and k is what you're going to look for. So k you're going to leave the same. And actually, let's change that to red so that it's the same in the color above. And then x they gave you is 16. So we're going to change that to 16. So you want to get k by itself. So when you do that, you have k times 16. So we're going to divide by 16 on both sides to get rid of it. And when you do that, you end up with k equaling 32 divided by 16, which is 2. So all you do is you take that 2 and you're going to plug it back into your original equation, which is not there. It's over here. Woo! Into k. So let me redraw that arrow. Sorry about that. Okay. So you're going to take your 2 that you found for k and you're going to plug it back into your original equation. So you're going to pretend this time that they didn't give you any values for y and x, and you're just plugging in k instead of plugging in x and y. So our new equation, let's do that in blue. Our new equation now will be y equals, and instead of k, we're putting 2 and x. And the whole reason to find an equation for direct variation and inverse variation is when you are actually graphing a line on a coordinate plane to find the slope, you can use this equation, if you know that it varies directly, to find the rest of the points on the line. So for example, let's go to the next page. We've got y equals 2x. So if we actually had a coordinate plane and we knew one point, so let's say we knew that one of them was, if we were to draw some lines, we knew one of the points was at 1, 1. Oh, let's do 2, 1. And make that red so you can see it. So 2, 1. We knew one of the points was right there, but we didn't know where any of the other points were. So we can just make up some values for x, like we've done in the past. For example, -1, 0, 1, which that should come back to you. And you plug it into your formula that you've already found, or your equation, and you find out what y is going to equal. And so when we plug in -1 into x up here, 2 times -1 is -2. And then if we plug 0 into our x up here, 2 times 0 is 0. And if we plug in 1 into our x in the equation we found, 2 times 1 is 1. So now we have 3 extra points that we can put into our coordinate plane that will show us where this line is going. And we could actually find the slope with that now. So we have -1, -2, which is right here. And then we have 0, 0, so through the origin, which remember we know that's direct variation if it goes through the origin, and 1, 1, which is about right there. So now we know the line is going like this. So if it asks you to graph the line, all you do is you come up with values of x to find y and then plot the points and draw the line. So that is direct variation. And so now let's go on to inverse variation. Okay, so now we're going to do inverse variation. So this is a new problem. The variables x and y vary inversely. Use the values to write an equation that relates x and y. So with inverse variation, you're going to use the formula y equals k divided by x. And if you think about it, the direct variation formula was y equals kx. And what is the inverse operation of multiplying for these two? And the inverse operation is dividing. So that makes sense that the inverse of direct variation would be dividing instead of multiplying. So let's erase that really quick. And now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're just going to use the different formula. So we have y equals kx. So we're going to plug in our y, which is -4, equals k, we're leaving, and then x, instead of x, we're writing 2. So now to get rid of that, to get k by itself, you have to multiply by its reciprocal. So right now it's dividing by 2, so we're actually going to multiply by 2. You could also multiply by 2 over 1, which is the reciprocal of k over 2, which is 1 over 2. So we're just going to multiply by 2 because k divided by 2, the inverse operation of dividing by 2 is multiplying. So we're going to multiply by 2 on this side, and if we do it to one side, we have to do it to the other. So these cancel out, and you're left with k. And on the left-hand side, 2 times -4 is -8. We don't forget the negative symbol up there. So now you're just going to take your -8. I'm going to put a new color, and we're going to plug this back in for k in our original formula. So we have y equals, and instead of k, we're writing -8 and then x, and that's your answer for that. So this would go for the same thing with graphing the point. You could just come up with values of x and y, and then, or values of x, and then find y using this formula and our equation, and then you could find where the line is on the coordinate plane and draw your line and find your slope, and anything else you need to do with the line on the coordinate plane. So I hope this helped you, and that's the end of the video. This is just for a review. We're not doing this chapter anymore, but you guys have this problem on your homework every week. A couple of these problems just to review and constantly refresh your memory about it. And there's some students that are struggling with this, so I did a tutorial just to help you. And any other questions that you have, I will do tutorials on as long as you ask me. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.